Welcome back to our fantasy endgame community. Thanks for watching as always. To our new viewers, welcome. We're here today to talk about league-winning wide receivers. That's right, the guy that is going to carry your team to victory this year. At least it might happen. We got 3 candidates each that we want to talk about. Some wide receivers you definitely want to keep your eye on draft day. So let's start with the first one. Chris, you got a league-winning wide receiver for me?
I do. It's Allen Robinson of the Chicago Bears. Back-to-back top 9 fantasy seasons, back-to-back seasons with 150 targets. Always undervalued. Never one of the guys that are considered one of the elite, stud top 5 wide receivers. But guess what? This could be the year where he finally does it because he has a chance to be playing with the best quarterback he's ever played with, and that's Justin Fields. All we need is for Justin Fields to get on the field at some point, which you got to think it's going to happen sooner than later. And the ceiling at that point is, the limit. Really, the sky's the limit for Allen Robinson because we've seen this guy put up over 1,200 yards, double-digit touchdowns with Nick Foles, Mitch Trubisky, Blake Bortles. I can't even remember some of the. I don't even know if some of these quarterbacks that he played with are still in the league. So give him Justin Fields, enormous ceiling. Definitely could be a league winner this year.
Absolutely agree. Allen Robinson, always a pretty safe pick. Could be better. I mean, there's no reason that he should do any worse than last year compared to the quarterback situation he had with Trubisky and Foles. Hey, Andy Dalton, he's not a bad quarterback either. So just because he's starting week 1, don't give up on Robinson. All right, so my first guy is an obvious pick. If you've ever watched anything I've ever said, I'm a pretty huge DK Metcalf stan. And I will go out and say that he could, this is my bold prediction, one of my bold predictions for this year, he could be the overall wide receiver 1 in fantasy. And that's not a big stretch. He was already a top 10 wide receiver in terms of fantasy points per game last year in PPR leagues. If you go to a standard league, it's even higher. It was 5th in fantasy points overall. So it's not a stretch to think he could do that. But even if he doesn't, look, he's not being drafted as the number 1 or 2. A lot of times, not even a top 5 receiver in the draft. So this is somebody that when you get to the second round, you take him and he could absolutely leapfrog guys like Stephon Diggs. I think it's possible. So I love Metcalf. His situation couldn't be any better. He's tied to an elite quarterback in Russell Wilson. We know this. There's absolutely nobody else getting targets in that offense except for him and Tyler Lockett. That's it, right? Even the guys who were 3rd, 4th, 5th in line for targets last year, they're gone now, right? Different tight end. David Moore was their 3rd receiver. He's gone now. They have a rookie who is on the PUP list. I think Metcalf gets more targets. He does more with them. This is a guy who's a physical specimen, and he's just evolving as a player, getting even better. I think he'll be more involved. He'll be more efficient. So Metcalf takes that step, and he becomes the league-winning wide receiver that you wanted. All right, Chris, on to you. Who else you got?
We're going out to Pittsburgh. Chase Claypool, Juju Smith-Schuster, nah. Deontay Johnson is the guy you want in this Steelers offense. Had 8 games where he had 10 or more targets last year. And I know the big knock on him, well, there's a few big knocks, but the biggest knock on him is, he drops the football. It doesn't matter. He got benched for an entire half. The entire first half because of drops. What happened the second half? He led the team in targets with 7, right? It doesn't matter. Big Ben trusts this guy, and that's what matters is that Big Ben trusts him, and Big Ben is going to look his way all the time. And guess what? This offensive line is really bad. What does that mean? Big Ben's probably not going to have a lot of time. What do quarterbacks do when they don't have time? They look for the guys they trust, and that's Deontay Johnson. He's 144 targets last year. I could see him easily crossing the 150 mark, going over 100 catches, over 1,000 yards. And if he hits double-digit touchdowns this year, which is definitely possible in this offense, he's absolutely going to be a league winner.
Absolutely. I'm not giving up on Juju. I think that that's also a decent pick. But Deontay is clearly the receiver number 1 right there in that offense. Guy that you want to target. All right, clear wide receiver 1 in Atlanta is now Calvin Ridley. Julio Jones is gone, and he was replaced with a tight end. A rookie tight end, no less. And look, love Kyle Pitts, love his talent, love his long-term potential. Is he going to replace all those targets vacated by Julio Jones? No. He's not. And as it was, I know that Julio missed half of last season. Calvin Ridley was number 5 in fantasy points per game among wide receivers, PPR leagues. So now imagine without Julio, with really nobody else replacing those targets. They'll fill in here and there, but this is a team that's going to lean even more on Ridley. So kind of similar to what I said about Metcalf, this is the ideal situation. You're getting a target hog, and yet you're not paying a first-round pick, and he's not even going among the top 5 receivers, right? We look back to, okay, who led the league in receptions last year? It was Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill. Who's going to lead this year, this coming year? I think that Ridley is going to surpass some of those guys. Okay, so Ridley is the receiver you can count on when it comes to round 2. Him and Metcalf are both guys that I think could lead the way and be your top receiver, and they're not being drafted that way. All right, time for one more. Who's your next league-winning wide receiver?
Well, if you watched our league-winning running back video, which if you haven't, you should do that after this video, I had a homer pick in there. I had Antonio Gibson, even though I really do think he has league-winning potential. And I have another homer pick, and that's Curtis Samuel. And I think he also has league-winning potential. This is a guy who last year was his team's wide receiver number 3, only played on 62% of the snaps in Carolina, but he led everybody in fantasy points per snap. Now he's the football team's number 2 wide receiver. He's going to play way more than 62% of the snaps. He's probably going to play 80%, maybe even 90% of the snaps. Will he be the leading fantasy point getter per snap? Probably not. But we know he's super efficient. We know he makes things happen with the opportunities he gets. And his coach, Ron Rivera, he knows Curtis Samuel. He knows his skill set. He knows how to use him in the best ways. I think we're going to see him being used in a lot of different ways. We're going to see him used in the backfield, end arounds, wide receiver screens, and we're going to see him be used downfield. This is a guy who's going around wide receiver 40 in drafts, and that's crazy because I think he definitely can finish inside the top 24 wide receivers, if not inside the top 20, and that's exactly what you're looking for in a league-winning wide receiver.
Absolutely. The value has to be there. And I think T. Higgins is a great value because people are drafting Jamar Chase over him. I get that we like the shiny new toy and the rookie and Chase. Oh, the connection with Joe Burrow. Guess who already has a connection with Joe Burrow? T. Higgins. He's actually played longer with Burrow than Chase did because he was there for a full, well, okay, not a full NFL season, but most of an NFL season. But here's the thing. In that basically half a season that Burrow was healthy, T. Higgins put up 900 yards as a rookie with only half a season of Burrow. Now, with a full season of Burrow, I mean, what are the chances he goes over 1,000 yards? Pretty good. And we throw away that, throw out that term 1,000 yards, like any old receiver gets 1,000 yards. That's not a big deal. There were only 16 wide receivers who got 1,000 yards last year. And so T. Higgins is going to be a solid wide receiver too. I'm not worried about Chase surpassing him. Chase is being drafted ahead of him, but I really think Higgins is the lead receiver on this team. And he's the guy who's also a little bit taller. I think going to be more of the red zone threat here. This is an offense that's going to grow a lot. Look, having Chase on the team is just going to help Higgins to get open, and he's going to draw less attention from defenders as opposed to AJ Green, who just kind of stood there and waited for the ball and didn't catch it. But I really like Higgins at his value. This is somebody I'm absolutely targeting. If you're waiting on your wide receiver 2, this is a guy that you should absolutely have. Potential league winning stuff. All right, so speaking of league winners, do check out that running back video where he talked about and our must-have wide receivers as well. We're going to be here all draft season to help you win. All right, thanks for watching.